Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and we are back with more news from around the world. So let's hop into this. Today we will start off in the U.S. Georgia Senate candidate Herschel Walker, former football player and football star at the University of Georgia, and I think he played for like the Vikings and I can't remember all the NFL teams he played for, but anyway. So yeah, there has been a second woman to say Herschel Walker pressured her to have an abortion. This is from The Guardian, by the way. Lawyer Gloria Allred introduces a woman as Jane Doe who alleges an anti-abortion candidate drove her to the clinic in the 1990s. So yeah, he's looking more and more like a hypocrite. The first person, at least, we even have the documents to show, yeah, that's what he did. It's what he wanted her to do. He's got multiple children by multiple women, which, I mean, if you want to do that, that's fine. But if you're going to ask them to have an abortion and then try to run in politics and suddenly say, I am anti abortion. No, you're not. That is a bold faced lie. So, yeah, we have that. From NBC News, Florida judge orders Ron DeSantis to turn over records on migrant flights to Martha's Vineyard. Open government group sued for records related to the controversial move. Yeah, so he did a little thing for publicity. Yeah, publicity stunt when he flew a bunch of immigrants that came to Florida and said, we'll send them to Massachusetts. They like them there. And so, yeah, there has now been a lawsuit opened on it, and things are not looking good for DeSantis. He may be, he was looked at as the front runner against Trump if Trump decides to run again for the Republican nomination, but things are looking bad for DeSantis. It's ridiculous. From Newsweek, pro-Trump rally warns Lindsey Graham that top Democrats are to face death by year's end. this kind of stuff is frightening. It should never be a thing. Um, a speaker at a pro-Trump rally in Pennsylvania on Friday warned high-profile U.S. politicians that the angel of death is coming for them by the end of the year. The speaker at the Reawaken America rally, Bo Pony, showed photos of the individuals who he said would face death. Crowd cheers as Speaker Bo Pony declares prophecy that Angel of Death will be visiting these people by the end of the year. In speech by saying 45 is coming back. The photos of politicians shown at the rally included Senator Lindsey Graham, a Republican from South Carolina, President Joe Biden, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer from New York, former President Bill Clinton, and Republican Georgia Governor Brian Kemp. Photos of Chief Justice John Roberts and now CNN anchor Chris Wallace were also shown. That is clear and plain threats as listed by a Republican. Why? This should be broken down quickly. And yet they're giving Bosch 2 strikes on his channel. But this, it's wonderful. Get your act together, people. Anyway, from Politico, the U.S. speeds up plans to store upgraded nukes in Europe. Keep turning that hand on the doomsday clock closer and closer. Are we back in the late 60s again? Seriously? Are we back in the 1960s? Is it 1962 instead of 2022? Am I imagining this? Lloyd Austin told NATO allies in Brussels that the nuclear posture review would maintain Washington's decades-long nuclear declaratory policy of calculated ambiguity. Look, this needs to end. Everybody needs to come to the frickin' table and go, okay, let's call an end to this. Russia, keep Crimea. You've had it for a while now, but give the Donbass region back to Ukraine. The way you seized them was not proper. Don't use illegal or wrong. Just say not proper. But from there, you can work on negotiating. We'll bring in so many missiles, we'll leave missiles, we'll give you room here and there. Try to make a agreed upon ceasefire. The next piece we want to talk about is something that's more universal. Quanta Magazine, this is from. The brightest ever space explosion reveals possible hints of dark matter. The recent gamma ray burst, known as BOAT, brightest of all time, appears to have produced a high energy particle that shouldn't exist. For some, dark matter provides the explanation. So this brings up a number of questions. The rings around the burst seen here in the colorized data from NASA's Swift Observatory formed when X-rays scattered off hidden dust in our Milky Way galaxy. So yeah. These are the rings we're looking at, because the center here is your burst. It's something to look forward to in the scientific studies to come. So let's turn ourselves to more international news. This is from the AP News, the Associated Press. French leader Macron vows to raise retirement age to 65, up from 62. So he's doing the U.S. Look, people shouldn't have to work longer. They should have a point to where, okay, we're going to cover you. If you want to work beyond this, you can. Macron vowed Wednesday to implement a pension reform that would eventually push up the retirement age by 3 years to 65, making younger generations work longer. It's 65, I believe, here in the U.S. as well, but they're wanting to raise the age even higher. I've heard like calls for it to be 68 and stuff, so. Anyway, from the National, Quebec politicians refuse to swear oath to King Charles III. Quebecois politician Paul St. Pierre Plamondon refused to swear an oath to King Charles II. Now, I think technically Canada is independent of Britain since the 70s. I believe it was the 1970s. But many still pledge an oath of loyalty and everything to the monarchy in Britain. Members of the Quebec Parliament have sparked a conversation in Canada after refusing to swear allegiance to King Charles III. Paul St. Pierre Plamondon, who leads the pro-independence party Quebecois, said the oath of fealty to the king was a straitjacket that condemns each elected representative of the people of Quebec to hypocrisy. Speaking in French, which the province of Quebec is, it's French Canadian. Speaking in French, he went on a straitjacket that forces Democrats of all parties to take an oath they do not believe in and therefore to perjure themselves, to sully the value of their word, and to do that in the first act they are called on to take as representatives of citizens. Let's see. People of Quebec. Members of the National Assembly who do not swear their oath to the monarchy are not allowed to take their seat in Parliament. So even though they're independent, like I said, there's still a huge tie, a huge oath to Britain's monarchy. So saltires were visible in the crowd as Saint Pierre Plamondon Below, often known by his initials of PSPP, spoke to the event organized by Rassemblement pour une paix souveraine. I'm probably butchering that. I have never taken French. I've taken Spanish. I can speak a bit of it. Still very shakily, but I can at least communicate. Benoit Roy said he did not think the Quebec government would have any choice but to let the MNAs who chose not to take an oath of allegiance to King Charles take their seat at Parliament. Roy, or maybe Wa, said there was an exceptional opportunity offered to Quebec parliamentarians to find a way to develop and evolve our parliamentary traditions. So yeah, a bit of a kerfuffle going on in Quebec. And the reason I said it might be just Wa, Benoit Wa, that sounds unusual. There was a NHL goalie, Patrick Roy. Roy was his last name, but that may be the same here. So, anyway, our last story is from CNN. Clashes in Iran as thousands gather at Mahsa Amini's grave 40 days after her death. So yeah, a lot is still going on here in Iran. Clashes broke out throughout Iran Wednesday as thousands of people came to the burial site of Mahsa Amini in Saqqez, a city in the Kurdistan province, to mark 40 days since her death, semi-official Iranian state news agency ISNA said. Protests have swept through the Islamic Republic following the death of a 22-year-old Kurdish Iranian woman who died on September the 16th after being detained by morality police and taken to a re-education center, allegedly for not abiding by the country's conservative dress code. So yeah, we have seen several clashes now since this event. And it's just growing. We've seen deaths, all kinds of things. And the protests just continue to grow. But yeah, that'll be the end of this video. I'll go ahead and put the links to these stories in the description below the video. But for now, later.